What's happening, everybody? It is me, your resident supervillain, Mr. J. Washington. I'm here with my review for RRR on Netflix, also known as Rise, Roar, and Revolt. If you have not seen this movie yet, get your shit together and watch this shit, nigga. But there will be spoilers. You know how there's movies where somebody tells you about it and you kind of like, yeah, it sound dope, but I'm not sure if they're just overhyping it, right? I'm not sure if they gassing me up or something. And a lot of people say, well, I feel like that about Marvel movies. I feel like that about DC movies. I feel like that blah, blah, blah. I get that, right? Imagine, you know what I'm saying? They say, okay, well, look, I'm not going to show you the whole movie. I'm going to show you this trailer. Then the trailer's like, what the fuck? Then it's like, all right, I'm going to show you this other scene. And this other scene, you're like, how? That pales in comparison to the beauty and magnitude that RRR is. I didn't know, first of all, it is a Tollywood film, which I had to be educated from because I always just assumed that all of the movies that came out of India were Bollywood. I didn't know there was a difference between Bollywood and Tollywood, and I think there is one more, if I'm not mistaken. But also, I'm glad to have learned about that. However, you know, of course, it's dubbed in Hindi. The original language, Telugu, again, please forgive me, it's dubbed in Hindi. So from what I hear, you can find the original version because it is kind of hard with the Hindi dubs and the voiceover, and it doesn't sync up completely. But that is withstanding. That's not withstanding for me. You watch this, and of course, you know a lot of people are getting into foreign film because foreign film has seemed to been like out here doing stuff that we, as the general American populace, for the most part, haven't been haven't been up on. Now, I know there are people who are cinephiles who are like, yo, you should have been knowing about this, that, and third. Remember, I've always said this, everyone isn't a cinephile. Some people just like watching movies. Some don't have that deep, ingrained feeling. But back to the film. After I saw the two things and I was told, okay, it's a 3-hour joint, I was like, all right, it's on Netflix. I can hit pause. Shouts out to Jason Inman and Ashley Victoria Robinson who put me up on this. Come to the crib and I watch it. In the first 11 minutes, you see, you find out the story, what happens. You see how the little girl Molly, she's, you know, the movie is set under the back tones of the British colonization in India, which is a real thing that happened. But what it does is the director took he made a fictitious story of two actual heroes in India's revolutionary history and did a what if they happened to meet and cross paths, right? You find out one of the heroes, you know what I'm saying? You find in the beginning, you see this little girl, she's this little girl, she's doing a henna tattoo for this British colonizer lady played by Alison Doody. You know, doing a henna tattoo, and you know the mother is all them in the village are like, ugh, here this bitch go again. These motherfuckers taking advantage of. Which I noticed how they felt like, I'm going some fucking well. So afterwards, Allison throws some pennants, some shellings or whatever on the ground for her, and one of the villagers, he thinks that that's her paying for her service. No, she bought her daughter like slavery. And so then the mother runs after her daughter. She's banging on the car. A fucking British soldier's about to shoot her in the head. Then the governor, played by Ray Stevenson, comes out and talks about the value of a bullet, which we keep hearing about several times throughout the movie. You hear about the value of a bullet, right? How much it really is worth. But Ray Stevenson's character, being so racist as fuck, was like, you don't waste this on a mongrel, on a peasant like an Indian. Find something else. And this British soldier pick up half a tree and hit the mama in the head. And I'm like, what the fuck? Then you're introduced to Rama Raju, who's a police officer. In the trailer, you see this Mog start fighting about 50 people. He jumped into a crowd and fight 50 people with a stick. The 50 people ain't shit compared to about the 3,000 this nigga whoops on by himself, nigga. This nigga goes through, has the stick, and is fighting niggas. They jump him. He finds ways out of it. This nigga is like a mutant without being a mutant. I'm going to say the word nigga a lot. I don't know why. It's going to happen. He's beating the dog shit out of people. Whoops these motherfuckers to get to one dude that one of the British officers was like, arrest him. Dude is way in the fucking back. His mom coming in, pow, pow. He don't make those sounds, but you know what I mean. He go fighting through, get dude, come back to the thing, to the post where the British soldiers were. My man's put some water on his face to my Rama, puts his officer cap back on, stands at attention, and makes all these motherfuckers leave. They're like, you know what, we're gonna go get up out of here. You know what, we called y'all on a bad day. We'll probably come back 2 more days from Tuesday. All right, cool, y'all have a good one. We're gonna leave. Get his ass up off the ground, leave him there. He was gonna talk a lot of shit. That's how, like, you're like, what the fuck? This is in the first 11 minutes. 11 minutes. Then you're introduced to the first time to the man you would come to know as Akhtar, but finds out his name's really Bheem. My man is chasing. He's setting his brothers are in trees. They're setting up a trap per se. He's ready, waiting to have a wolf chase him. This nigga's running from a wolf willingly. Okay, he's running from a wolf. While he's running from a wolf, there is a tiger in the forest. Like, oh, there go lunch, bitch. And Bheem sees it. My man ducks. And the tiger catches the wolf. Them mogs start fighting. The tiger bitch out the wolf like, what you want to do, fam? The wolf goes like, I'm going to get up out of here. You know what? I heard about the story. I don't need to deal with it. I got something on the stove. The tiger starts chasing this dude. Bheem keeps chasing him, gets his brother to throw this thing down, potion or whatnot. We don't know what it's for. Throws down. The tiger jumps, catches the tiger in the net, busts the tiger's face, this thing, and puts him to, not yet. The fucking net, excuse me, is on the hooks, comes apart. This nigga Bheem, let me tell you something. Y'all remember when we saw in Captain America Civil War? Remember Chris Evans, Captain America, was holding on to one end of a pole on the roof and holding on to the arm of a helicopter, and everybody was like, ooh, look at how strong Cap is. That ain't shit. This nigga Bheem was holding 2 ropes to clamp together to keep a tiger restrained. And then they try to hook it, the ropes broke, you get the thing, bust the tiger in the face, and puts him to sleep. I say that to say, throughout this entire film, there are so many action sequences that in a normal movie would be the climactic final battle. That is how grandiose they are in scale and in magnitude. Now, of course, the CGI isn't all that perfect, refined CGI that we all want, know, and love. But it doesn't matter. It works. It works. You find out that, Rama, who I told you earlier, dude with the stick, he tries to infiltrate the resistance to the British force to find out who's this shepherd that's coming to hunt down the British government. All these different things happen. There's a majestic, beautiful Tollywood dance number to the song Natu Natu with Desi Notch. It means dance from the translation, I'm assuming. But, the dance battle is so... Let me tell you something. So, I forget a part. I have to get to the part where Rama and Bheem meet. What happens is, Rama is chasing a dude, because again, he tried to infiltrate the resistance to see what's going on. He met one of Bheem's brothers who was like, yo, you really think we can kill this governor? Come on, I got a spot to take you. So dude is going with Rama and his uncle to take him to the spot to link up with everybody that's the resistance to really try to kill the governor. Rama hits a checkpoint where there are Indian British officers, just like you've had like black Confederate soldiers, things like that. Dude, Rama walks up to the things like, hey man, look, I'm also on duty. He do it with the real low-key sound. He was like, I'm also on duty. I need you to go ahead and give us a little check through, let us through, all right? Here, my badge, go on here, let me be. So dude goes and talks to his superior officer. Dude checks the badge. He was like, yeah, he's the officer, let him through. So dude, keep in mind, Rama whispered this shit to the man. Dude come back and was like, all right, you good, sir, and salute. My man who was Bheem's brother was like, the fuck? And took off running. So in the process of Rama chasing him, a little boy who was going fishing gets caught after an explosion where an oil car on a train explodes under a bridge. And the car causes water in the lake to be on fire. Now, you've got Rama on a bridge, and then you see Bheem at the bottom, because Bheem was down there with these villages. The little kids trying to make money selling fish out the lake and shit like that. So they come up with this idea. Rama comes up with this idea for them to cross over together to get the little boy. They both are on ropes, right? They both wrap themselves in a rope. Rama's on a motorcycle. Rama's on a horse. Bheem's on a motorcycle. The Mogs ride towards each other. They go full speed ahead. They cross, jump, and swing under. One gets the boy. The other has a flag. They pop off, trade off. This shit is beautiful. Then the hands come together like this, and you finally get the opening title card to the movie 30 minutes in. 30 minutes in. This set up their friendship, that bond that we would see growing through the thing. But again, we know already that Rama is an undercover cop. He doesn't know who Bheem is. Bheem is still looking for his sister, who was the little girl that was kidnapped earlier, who's going to basically try to take out the governor, all this shit. And there's a whole bunch of things. Again, the dance sequences I was alluding to. The dance sequence is one of the most beautiful things ever. It is one of the most beautiful things ever. And here's how this is their friendship, where the friendship hit a level I didn't expect to hit. You know, even though Rama doesn't know who he's looking for, he's garnered a respect and a love as a brother for Bheem, right? They at this dance party, right? And they do this big dance, like I said, the Natu Natu, and everybody's trying to dance. And it's a dance step. It's a Tollywood dance step, if I'm not mistaken. Again, correct me if I'm wrong. I apologize. Where if you keep going and the last one standing wins. At one point, all these white boys trying to come up on them, they get out and dance. Bow, bow, footwork, ankles, knees, pop, pop, pop. All white boys dropping, white girls dropping, white girls starting to fall in love with the brown dudes like, oh my God, go Rob! And all the white boys like, bitch, you don't shut up. And they just like, look at Rob, look at this. Only this one lady Jenny, who Akhtar has an attraction to, and she has an attraction to him. She's the only one rooting for him, right? So they going back and forth. Rama and Akhtar, they dancing their ass off, feet just going, sweating. Well, Rama just going just hard, and he ain't even sweating. He just cheesing the whole time. You can see Bheem over this motherfucker. Akhtar at the time, because we don't know his real name. He right here like, oh, my knees, nigga. And Rama, being a good wingman and a friend, lets his boy win so he can get it, because he see the girl is the only one cheering for him. And he like, yo, I'm going to let my mans get his girl. And I was like, that's a real wingman for y'all. There is so much action that happens, because this is it's a 3-hour movie. So for me to try to go beat by beat by beat by beat, this would be even longer than the film. I'll give a quick abridged version. We come to find out that while we think Rama is literally just an undercover cop trying to infiltrate the resistance to find out who wants to kill the governor, being Bheem, it's all in actuality a double cross of a double cross. Since his father trained him as a child and he's been a lethal shooter, being Rama's whole job, his whole goal in life, his whole point has been, after watching his father be murdered, was to infiltrate the police force, become special officer, because then he has access to all the high-powered weaponry. Take those rifles and put it in the hands of each Indian to fight back against the British. That plot line in itself, I don't know if it's part of the true story, if it's part of the lineage. Again, I know there's a giant disclaimer at the beginning of this movie that a lot of this is fictitious. I don't know the full story, so please forgive me. If there are any who are familiar with the culture, with the story, let me know in the comments below. But to watch that was his whole plan. He knew he had to betray Bheem, even though it hurt, because he was like, I can't not do what I'm here to do. I promised my father I would put a gun in the hand of every Indian to be able to fight back. Bheem eventually finds out that he was fighting. When he finds out that, later when Bheem meets Ram's girl, he's like, yo, I was just fighting for my tribe, my sister, for a child. He was fighting for the country, for the land. I was like, that's deep. Here's the part where it gets sick. There's a point where eventually Bheem gets caught, right? And Rama has to, he catches him. And the way the governor, Ray Stevenson, wants to punish him is to have him flogged in the town square in public at noon. So you got damn near this whole town, all of the Indian people, of course there's the British soldiers, and they're all watching. And Rama's, he's in charge of whipping Bheem. and flogging him in the streets. Now, when I was hearing flogging, I was thinking like a stick or whatever. I didn't think a whip. I was like, slavery, nigga. Woo! Flashbacks from my DNA. But the strength of Bheem, he said he was going to keep whipping. The governor ordered that he keep being flogged until he bent a knee to the crown. Bheem gets whooped so much that he falls over, but he falls on an angle where his knees never hit the ground. And then even the Allison Judy, who was the worst bitch ever, like she was the Karen, she was the British Revolutionary Karen. She might have been one of 90,000 Karens, but that was a Karen of the British caliber in 1940 something or whatever, 1820, whatever it was at the time. She's like, yo, he didn't bend. Hit his ass with this, and rolls out a whip with barbs and like nails on it, and has Rama demonstrated. He whips around a wood post where it just sticks in, and when he rips it, it just pulls splinters off. So of course, this is gonna tear flesh. I say all that. Bheem is being whipped, abused, flesh torn, bleeding. He starts singing out a passionate, like almost revolutionary war cry that rallies and fires up the people. Because they see him keeping his spirits up. He's not crying out while he's being abused, and yet still does not bend the knee. Now, Rama, who's feeling reluctant, because again, he knows who this is, and to him, it's still his brother. He's like, yo, please don't make me do this because you'll die. That shit to me, that scene in itself, I tweeted about it. I have a lot of tweets on my Twitter at Mr. J. Washington. That was so powerful because it shows the magnitude of perseverance of a cause of someone who is a revolutionary at the forefront. And this can be applied to, honestly, any culture. Any culture that has had to go through a historic revolution, that has had a man or woman at the forefront. To show the ones who show the perseverance, the never say die, they never quit, never give up. You know, when you're fighting for a cause. And that stuck out so much to me. There are so many action sequences at the point where, you know, Rama gets, he helps Bheem and his sister leave, and the government catches him and puts him in a prison, solitary cell. Bheem gets him out after Rama having his legs broken. It's a callback to a playful sequence, a montage we get of them earlier, where Bheem puts Rama on his shoulders, stand up, puts his legs behind him, lock him in, because his legs, even though they're broken, but lock him in. Rama take 2 pistols. Bheem got his hands free. It's 4 hands of action and fight, and they just whooping the dog shit out of people. There is so much action, so much so many engagement moments in this film. You will not be able to stop. I am on my second rewatch of this movie right now. I'm not gonna even lie to y'all. The culminating scene, I won't try to spoil too much, but I'll just give you the final scene. The thing about the bullet in the beginning that we learn comes back full circle, and the way it comes back and the way it is done is so beautiful, and its execution is perfect. And then the movie ends with another Tollywood number, and I believe it's talking about all of the revolutionaries at that time, at that point in time in their history. And again, it's a beautiful film, and I'm gonna tell you this: it's one of the best movies of the year. And I know there's been a lot of criticism about, you know, what top movies are right now. Of course, they're Marvel films, and a lot of criticism about they can do this, they can do that. And I will say this: look, I wish Kevin Feige didn't be like, yo, watch these Tollywood movies and watch the level of detail they put into them, because they're putting, the story is moving, the characters are all you're engaged in, you're excited for. The action levels, there is always stakes in every action fight. There are stakes in every fight. Like, you think you know what the finale is going to lead to, but you don't know because of the way the fights are going. They're so grand in scale. Again, in the trailer, they show this Mark Bheem jump out the back of a truck with with tigers, leopards, elk, bear, all jumping out with him and charging against the British. And you think he has control of them, but then you see he don't. He uses fire to swing them and charge them at people. And of course, these are wild animals, so they going at whatever. There's one time a leopard gets on this man on Bheem's back. That Mark flings the leopard onto a British soldier. I was hollering. My excitement level, I don't think in this review does justice to how amazing this film is. I didn't know that NTR and Rama Sharan are two of the top stars, if I'm not mistaken, in Tollywood. And before this film, had never worked together. And the director is, if I'm not mistaken, from what I've heard, one of the top directors in India. And this was the first time putting them all together collectively. And to crank out this spectacle, this story that has so much heart, so much passion, so much drive behind it. Again, at one point, you hate Rama. You hate him. But then you learn what his true story is. You learn his backstory. You're like, oh, shit. You feel like Bheem does later on in the film. You know Bheem's passion for saving his sister. That is his sole passion, to save his little sister. And he will do anything and go anywhere from it. There's a point even when the scene happens with the lion, with the tigers and shit, the tigers and the elk and all that, when Rama first approaches him, because Rama now realizes who he is, they are fighting. At some point, Bheem doesn't want to fight him. He's like, brother, please, I did nothing wrong. I am just trying to save my sister. She is just a child. Again, the emotion is invoked there. Again, this movie is 3 hours. For those who don't know, I would highly suggest, if you want to watch it, man, look, you have to watch it because, again, the subtitles are only going to be in English. Now, when the British talk, of course, it's in English, but the dub is in Hindi. So unless you understand Hindi, you are going to need to watch it to see what they're saying. Also, one of the dope things for me personally is the subtitles in all of the songs that are done. Like, you get to see what they're saying in all the songs, and it's like every song is a story being told as well. It's not just music, a music underbed or whatever. You get what I'm saying? But overall, if I got to give this movie a scale of 1 to 5 stars, 5 being the highest, this shit get an 8. Shit get an 8. This movie is of a magical splendor, a grandiose spectacle, and from what I've heard, was only $70 million to make. If you watch this movie, you will not believe that it was only 70 million. And I know that it's still a lot, but when we talk about, again, I bring up Marvel, I bring up DC, we're talking about movies with $150 million, $200 million budgets. Christopher Nolan films, $200 million budgets. We're talking about these amount of films, and for many, again, whether it's Marvel, Christopher Nolan, DC, Scorsese, whoever, sometimes don't hit the mark for everybody. I have not heard one person yet who has seen this movie who again, is of American culture and has not enjoyed it immensely. So I wanted to share that love on to y'all. But if you have seen it, I want to know what you think down in the comments below, all right? Please, let's keep it civil no matter what in this conversation. This film is supposed to be based off a revolutionary point in history, but it is fictitious, again, as the disclaimer states. All right, so let's keep it civil in discourse. Also, while you're here, like this video, share it, subscribe to the channel, click on the notification bell. Make sure you stay tuned. All of the stuff I got different movie reviews, TV show reviews. I'm going to be doing some TV show reviews again solo because of things that have happened. And so if you're new here, please, thank you, and I appreciate y'all. But follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Mr. J Washington, MRJAY. You should know how to spell Washington. My Mad Titan podcast, where I get you covered on all the things that happen in the Marvel and DC live action cinematic universes. It is Barbershop Talk for Nerds. We are on a small hiatus. Because the summer has been extremely busy, and I know there have been movies out, so I still try to give the reviews, and I've been reviewing the Disney Plus shows. Moon Knight is coming up on my channel here. I'm going to do The Boys. I'm dropping that. So I'm going to have a bunch of stuff here content-wise as well, so stay tuned to that. So follow me everywhere. I will holler at y'all for the next one. Take care. I'm out. Bye.